Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Again, I chose this beautiful Slovak travel livery, or let's say a Sky travel livery, because it's a registration from Czech Republic, and I will perform today the flight from Krakow to Dubronik, again without VATSIM, and because I like to put my videos are not so popular as the other YouTubers, but I will try to give for the people who would like to be a professional pilot as much information as possible. So in this case, I need to fly off the VATSIM because there are some purposes which I would like to tell you. And then basically that's it. Now we are situated at Krakow airport, which is Echo Papa Kilo Kilo airport. This was my first home base airport when I started flying on 737 in 2004, and I really like this airport, and I really like the growing of the airport, because these stands which are we currently located wasn't there, and especially the icing stands wasn't there. But what's annoying about the Krakow airport is they still didn't solve the situation with category 2 or 3 approach, because charter flights which are coming from late evening to early morning flights has always problem to land there, and they are diverting to Katowice airport, which is quite not profitable. So as you can see, we are just collecting the waste and the potable water. I will show you the picture how it looks like when cabin crew are performing, or how cabin crew knows that they need potable water, and and the wastewater waste should go out of the airplane. Anyway, I promise you that maybe next video will be about how to perform the correct walk around, and what to mainly focus on walk around, but during flight simulator, okay, not real the airplane, because there are many of things which are not modeled here, and in real life we need to check if it is everything okay. So now, as I saw the operational flight plan, we have no minimum equipment list and configuration deviation list in operative, so that means that we can easily start the airplane and fly to our destination without any restrictions right over there. So as we are in the cockpit, let's imagine that waste is always empty, and potable water it's full. Potable water tank, if you would like to know, it's somewhere over aft cargo compartment, and it's approximately 250 liters, and it depends again, guys, I'm always talking to you. It is not that you have the NG and each NG has the same situation. No, many of NGs depends from option to option. So that means that the potable water tank should be, for example, 280 liters, or 200 liters, or 250 liters, whatever the airline option is. So okay, so we have fully serviceable this situation, and right now, before we connected the hose for refueling, we need to perform the preliminary procedure. So once we are in the cockpit, check this position, this switch is in off position, and then the captain put the reflection jacket, put the parking brake set to on position, strobe lights to steady, and the copilot will start the battery. As we can see, we have low battery pressure of 22, so we will see how it is performed. But anyway, we are on ground power source, as you can see, and it's over the good quality, and I hope until we start the engine the battery we will charge anyway. So this is okay, wipers are parked, gear is down, and fall detection is okay, and fire, all the switches are okay regarding wheel well as well. Cargo fire test, it's okay. Many of engines doesn't have this cargo fire test. Why? Because most of them are flying throughout the Europe, and without the Europe, you have airport, let's say each 100 or each 50 kilometers. So it doesn't matter to have. It is not necessary to have the cargo fire panel because it's mainly for extended range operations, but this is out of the way. So we have cargo fire test is okay. We can go up. Psio switch, very important, but most of you don't know what is the Psio switch and what is the purpose of the Psio switch, but be aware of the fact that when this light is illuminated, it basically means no-go item, and airplane is AOG, that means airplane is on the ground. Now we check the leading edge devices. Okay, we put the IRSs into on position, it's on DC, then in a line. We can check the time, and we have approximately, we need to wait a few seconds, 8 minutes to align. Service interphone should be off. Engine panel, it's in off position, and Mach warning and stall warning, it's working. This one, as again I said before, it's it's working after 4 minutes when I put the airplane on the AC power. So crew oxygen, we have plenty of oxygen, that's quite okay. Circuit breakers are okay. Emergency equipment, assume that we have all on board, and documentation as well. So we are good to go to pick up the ATs, but we don't have the ATs, so we check the matter conditions, and from matter conditions we will pick up the best runway, and the best runway for us will be runway 09er. Okay, so in this case we may start to do the pre-flight procedure. We can go down, we can put the cabin utility power. This switch, the most of companies I flew for leave this switch as a pre-flight procedure, but I will do it within preliminary procedure. Why? Because the cabin crew has their procedures, and they need to energize the galleys, and without the switch to on position they can do basically nothing. So it's my personal opinion. Okay, then we can go down. Emergency exit light should be in on position, or let's say in arm position. We will be performing refueling, so fasten belts off position. Window it on position. and now we are going through our operational flight plan, and today we have a bunch of the of the flight levels which we can pick up. For example, 380 to Barep, then 370, then 360 to Necto 200, but we will skip this anyway and we will put directly flight level 380. So I will put flight level 380 right over here. Landing altitude at Dubronik, I guess it was 400 feet, approximately 450. We have auto position, lights are off, isolation valve is fully open position, that's fine, that's pretty okay. And I would like to check how it is with PMDG, because the outflow valve should have two options. One option is turning one inside, one outside. It's split it into the two parts, and one has let's say the teeth right here. So basically this is the second option. These are the safety valves. Okay, there are, in case of fuel differential pressure is too high, they are automatically open for you. So okay, but anyway, so that's we have said. We may start the refueling. So a fuel truck is already there. Okay, I accidentally put it there, so never mind. We have for today flight minimum block fuel at 7,300 kilograms, which gives us according to our landing weights, we can make for example 8,000 kilograms. It will be okay, and Belgrade will be our alternate airport, so 8,000 kilograms. We put it right over there, and basically that's it. And we may start the refueling, and once we start the refueling, we complete check the masks. If you see this condition in a real airplane, the brake pressure accumulator is right now. You just press the one electric pump and put it into on position, but be aware that should be some maintenance action, so always alert the maintenance personnel before performing this action. Okay, so now we are going down. That's okay. 1 to 2.8 is pre-selected on WATSIM. 1 to 1.5. That's okay. That's pretty fine. And what we have on boom position, that's okay on both. That means voice and received as well. We have we will shine it a little bit up in order to see it. We should have been connected with flight interphone with the guy which is performing refueling. And what we can do, we can pre-select the approach of runway 07, and we have VOR approach for runway 07. That means 075 will be right over here, and the captain will be pilot flying 075. Sorry, 075 75. We can put the VOR as well, and VOR frequency, sorry, check the oxygen 100%, going like this way. I'm always forget about the procedures, but anyway, I'm not flying for 6 or 7 years, so mainly this is the reason. So we have Krakow VOR 112.8. We have pre-selected, as you can see, it's okay, DME distance, everything match our conditions, so that's pretty perfect. And now we can fill the FMC, so we'll return and go to FMC position page, Krakow airport, and we are on the stand number, I guess it's 18, so stand number 18. How we can check it: parking stands, stand number 18, 46, 41, that's okay, that's our stand, so we can put it right there. And from Krakow, I forget to put into the sim brief, so please give me a second and I will do it. And now it should work. So so Krakow will pick up from here to Dubronik. As I am older, I'm too lazy to fill this page manually, because or let's say, I will tell you something. I will tell you one thing. The first officer is always filling the page up to performance initialization page. Then will captain come to the cockpit and just check the weather and check the light test and perform once again the position, and go to the OFP, and via OFP go through all the legs page if all the waypoints are matches the waypoints which are in OFP, and then he can tell that the CD entries are verified. Okay, so let's double check that we have the correct routing right over here. So flight level 380. We have here in Krakow, we have SID, as I said before, into the Babco, so departure the runway 07, and we have Babco 3 Foxtrot departure. So Babco and Babco 3 Foxtrot, it's right over here, so that's pretty fine, cool. And execute route back to performance initialization page. 6500 is our transition altitude, and what we need to fill the next is initial climb, which is 6000 feet, right below the transition altitude, and the heading, departure heading is 072. So 072. It's slightly different from VOR approach from another side, because VOR approach is a little bit offset. But there's nothing special. That's okay. So now we are putting there the final reserve plus alternate. That means our FMC reserve, and our FMC reserve is 3, exactly 3. So this is our FMC reserve, and cost index in our case will be as I can see from the operational flight 50. So I am quite happy with it, because I don't like to fly with lower speed anyway. And our cruising average wind will be 292/36. 292/36. That's okay. And what we feel the next is the IS deviation is +3 degrees, so that means -53. That's okay. We can perform the light test if everything is okay. It's okay, that's perfect, without any further problems. And now we can go back to services. We can check, we have 8,000 kilograms on board. And remember, as the fuel truck hose is detached from the airplane, like now, you can see it from the co-pilot window. You may tell the cabin crew that the refueling is completed and put the fasten belts into on position, and do it like this way. So put in the VHF1 for clearance, and the captain is put to the flight intercom in order to start the engines. And we have QNH 1019er. I forget to put about it, 1019er, and 1600 will be our acceleration altitude. And as I look at the chart, what will be our altitude in which we are climbing, because we don't have the engine out seat procedure, which is basically made by the companies to company, and they may slightly differ. But anyway, if I look at the chart and we are departing from this direction, if we are keeping with the 25 nautical miles, it's okay to climb to 3000 feet, but the grid altitude is 3400. So if something happens, we'll continue straight ahead up to 25 nautical miles into 4000 feet, hold on present position, and reland back. So that's it, I guess so. And now what we can do, we can release maintenance van, because we have everything prepared. We can put the passengers to bus, and we can call the passengers via handling agent, and we have 136 passengers. 136 passengers like now, and we can request the baggage loaders. And for today flight, we have 2.7 tons of checked baggage. 2.7 means that I will put 1000 in front and 1700 to the back. Okay, so that's it, basically. So we may start the boarding, and as soon as these cards are connected, we can load the airplane. As we are starting boarding, we may start the APU. We can check in center tank, we have only 160 kilograms, so that means that just one pump is enough for us. Forward, we do not need to put the center tank fuel pumps. Why we are not turning center tank fuel pumps? Because early engines has the problem that if there was too low fuel in center tank, they are going to burn, and it can cause to flame all the airplane. Okay, so you will lose all your airplane, so that's why we are not using it. And during the takeoff phase, we are leaving into off position when we have below 500 kilograms. It's because we want to avoid the master caution during takeoff, and because we are hurry, and the master caution can little bit disturb us, so, and make us feel stress during departure. Anyway, so we can put APU on bus. We can start 1 minute in order to put APU on bleed, and we may disconnect the ground power. Okay, so it's disconnected, so it's quite okay. So today we are as we depart, um, what we can do, uh, we can try to focus on two topics. One topic will be how to establish, or let's say how to check what is my um, enroute alternate airport in case we have some trouble. And another point of view will be we will try to perform the idle descent while the level change, but I would like to try to. Why I am trying to? Because your idle descent solely depends on what wind conditions you put into the descent forecast page. Because if the wind conditions are not precise, you hardly do the idle descent. If they are precise, you can make it. Another thing is that you don't if you have some altitude restrictions with a standard instrument arrival for your airport, you as well, yes, you can make idle descent, but that's a different story, maybe for another video. Sorry, I'm still in COVID. So, we are basically 1 minute it's always past, 2 minutes is past, so we can put fresh air into the cabin, a little bit cool down the cabin. But as you can watch my previous video, which was differences between air conditioning system for 700 and 800, you will know that you are not able, or you are not allowed to do it like this way, because in real airplane, if you cool down the cabin a lot, it leads to pack trip off. That means that your pack it's overloaded, so you can make it back and wait for a minute or two, and then press the trip reset switch in order to make put the things on, or reset the sensor in packs. So that's why. Okay, I'm talking and talking, and we have all passengers on board, so we can release the stairs. Bus can go out. We have 1000 kilograms in forward compartment, that's why we can disconnect it. And we are now performing everything with the checklist, with the right way. So we need to board 700 of kilograms with the check baggage on aft compartment. So anyway, we can perform the pre-flight checklist. Pre-flight checklist contains that oxygen we bought, tell that it's tested and 100%. That's okay. Navigation, transfer and display switches are in normal and auto position. Window heat is on. Pressure is more selector is on auto position. Flight instruments, we have heading 342 and QNH 1019 reading 800, and parking brake is set, and engine start levers are on cut-off position. So that's pre-flight checklist. Okay, that's we have. I'm trying to put the things on the right way as real operational are going. So it's not like 80% of YouTube videos with the guys who are not seated in real airplane and call their videos real ops. It's not real ops, okay? Real operations. There are 1,000 things among the airplane which you should do. You have to cooperate or coordinate your senior crew member. You have to cooperate with your handling agent, with your maintenance personnel, and all the stuff which are really rotating around the airplane and doing their job. So sometimes you need to push them and hurry up them in order to catch our flight time. And according to our operational flight, we don't have the slot time. Slot time means that the part of the airspace within Europe is it's full, and you have to wait on the ground. The best solution is when you receive the slot time at the gate, because you leave the passengers in the gate. They can drink some alcohol, drink some fresh water, make some refreshment, read the newspapers, and so on and so on. The worst situation is when you put in on bus. They sit on the jump seat and suddenly the handling agent come and tells, okay guys, you have slot time within 1 hour after your standard instrument departure. So that's the worst condition. So right now we have standard instrument departure of 0940 UTC. So basically we should hurry up a little bit, okay? So we were disconnecting everything, and what we are going right now, we fill the load sheet. So our takeoff weight will be 64.7. As I said before, so far we don't have the performance calculation, but anyway, 24 KD rate is okay, and climb 1 it's okay. Flaps 1 it's okay. It goes from my own experience, and we have trim setting of 5.4, so we put there 5.4. Any of these calculations which are we performing right now on PMDG airplanes or Zibo airplanes, if you don't have the performance calculator, and there are some on the market, leads us to unbalanced takeoff. But this is unbalanced takeoff which is on the safe side, okay? So accelerate stop distance available will be quite higher than takeoff distance available, so that means that we are on the safe side. Another situation leads, for example, in ski atolls, so when you are overloaded, your accelerate stop distance available will be very short comparing to takeoff distance available. Okay, so like this one, we can put all those numbers here. Now we perform the normal part of the briefing. We'll perform the engine out briefing, and now we can ask for the clearance. Once the clearance is completed, departure as briefed, MCP set, and transponder we have set, for example, like these numbers. Okay, anyway, that's basically nothing nothing special. Okay, I will come to the main menu, and regarding to start on the self-maneuvering stance, on the cockpit crew communications looks like, but before we do it, we made the before start procedure. So that means that captain will check if the cockpit doors are locked. Okay, he will check the aileron trim is and rudder is free and zero, and he will check mobile phone off and check the all doors are closed. As you can see, we have some door which is open, so we have to close the door, okay, and wait for the doors is closed. Now the doors is closed is okay. For first officer, it means checked again on the doors, the windows doors are locked, because it happens to me when I was in flight training that this door slide open during the takeoff, and I was lucky to have the let's say the very quick reaction to put it back to on position and tell to captain, yes, we can go, because it was prior to 80 knots. Okay, so fuel pumps on, that's okay. Everything is fine, so we can perform fuel. We have 8000 kilograms, fuel pumps are on, passenger signs are on, windows are locked. MCP V2 we have 152, heading 072, altitude 6000 feet initially. Takeoff speeds we have V1 141, rotate 144, V2 152. Radar and airline trim free and 0, taxi and takeoff briefing completed and mobile phone off, and we have checklist complete to line. Now I will not discuss the cabin and cockpit crew communications, but once the cabin crew is ready for taxi, we will put transponder to standby, ask for the clearance. Once the clearance is received, we put anti-collision lights on and do the rest of the checklist. Anti-collision lights on and flight deck door closed and locked. That means that this switch is in guarded position, okay? So we may start the engines. We'll perform it like this way. Engine start procedure, that means all the packs are going off, isolation valve to auto position, and now we start the block time and we start the engine number 2, and the first officer start 2 minutes, because each start attempt shouldn't be higher than 2 minutes, okay? In hot days, sometimes the engine monitoring it's quite slow, so in this case that should be a problem, and you may exceed this time and you need to shut down the engine. Okay, guys, please be aware of the fact that if you have some topics, technical topic, which you would like to, we have starter cut out, which you would like to know, just leave me a comment below and I will make a video for you related to this topic, okay? So now we make an isolated pack procedure. That means that the fresh air is continuous to the cabin. We start the engine number 1, again 2 minutes, and captain is monitoring when press the engine start lever to idle position 10 seconds, and within 10 seconds it should be reasonable rising of EGT, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It was nearly wet start, okay? So but basically it's okay without any further problems. Okay, so now we are start valve cutout. Why we are talking to start valve cutout? Because it should happen that the start switch stucks in the ground position. That's no problem, that's no-go item. You can just easily put the switch to off position and that's it. But if you have start valve open light, it's something wrong within the engine and you are performing the QRH action, okay? But again, that is for another discussion. And right now I will explain it how the communications between ground personnel and the flight deck should like. So prior to start the engine, okay? So ground from flight deck, yes, go ahead, sir. Can you confirm all doors, hatches and are closed? Airplane is clear and chokes are installed. He or she tells, yes, captain, all doors, hatches are closed, chokes are on position, and you will tell them, tell her or him, okay, we are clear to start the engines. The sequence will be 2 then 1. May we start the engine number 2? And she will tells you that yes, captain, you may start the engine number 2. So start the engine number 2, then you ask for starting engine number 1. As soon as we have these conditions, you can tell to her that okay, parking brake is set, you may remove the chokes, disconnect, we have to do good and stable engines, and see you next time soon, bye. So it's a really simple way, okay? So once we have engine on stable like this one, we can put the flaps 1 and we can perform the before taxi. Again, now just check the splits. Isolation valve is working, so we can put the APU bleed to off position, start switches into continuous position, and now we are reading the checklist, before taxi checklist to line. That means that generators are on, probe heat is on, ITIs we don't need it, isolation valve auto position, engine start switch is continuous, auto brake it's RTO, engine start levers idle detent, and we have flaps 1 and checked with overhead panel, green light, and that's it. So that means that captain will perform the flight controls checked, so ailerons checked, rudder checked, aileron elevator checked, so we may switch off the APU. Okay, blank the lower display unit, press the recall if we don't forget about something, but I don't think so. And in this case we can perform the checklist below the line, so recall is checked, once again checked, flight control was checked, and ground equipment is clear on the left side and clear on the right side, and we are ready for taxi. So we may press the VHF1 in order to make a communication with tower, and we are performing the taxiing, okay? Oh, I forget, before the taxi routing is confirmed, put the taxi lights and the runway turn off lights on. It's my fault. But that's why the Boeing 737 is MCC multi-crew cooperation, and a co-pilot should say to captain, hey, you didn't forget to switch on the taxi and turn off lights, and we didn't good CRM. Okay, I'm sorry. So we put them to on position, and that's it. It's no longer discussion how stupid you are and why you didn't put it, because it has no reasons. Okay, so once cabin is ready and cabin and galley is secured, we can perform before takeoff checklist. Always perform before takeoff procedure and checklist, and that means that the weather radar is on pilot flying side. We reset the fuel. It is just our previous company procedure, but you don't need to do that. And press terrain radar on pilot monitoring side. That's okay. And what will be the next? The next will be checklist, flaps 1 green light, stabilizer trim 5.5 units. So before takeoff checklist is completed and we are completely good to go. We can put airplane to all now, but it doesn't work anyway. It doesn't matter. And we are taxiing to runway 08, so I will put it into the left side, and we are going all the way down to runway 08. Okay, so be patient because it's long taxiway routing. As I stopped the flying in real life, I really enjoyed the flight simulators because if you look from the outside, the airplane looks really amazing. Really amazing. As you can see the Kruger flaps, okay? And you see the Kruger flaps are split into two parts. You can nicely see the leading edge devices. Okay, that's really it's really amazing to see how beautiful graphics is, and I hope my simulator doesn't crash to desktop when on final, like in my last videos. But as you can see, it looks pretty nice and pretty cool, and as well the scenery, the grass, and now we don't see the clouds, but if you have clouds on ultra, it's really amazing to fly over there. But what I am missing, there are a few things. If you're landing with flaps 40, the airplane is floating too much, way too much. Because a real airplane, in the real airplane, you are closing the thrust levers at 10 feet. If you do it sooner, for example at 50 feet, you close the thrust levers, you should have two situations. One is hard landing, and another situation is to have tail strike. Okay. So this is somehow not good modeled in this Microsoft Flight Simulator, that on flaps 40 you are flying like a glider with high speed over ground and using the ground effect in order to lose the speed and reduce the distance. But we have to accommodate to this situation. And another thing which I don't like on Microsoft Flight Simulator is that when we are crossing the clouds, there is basically no turbulence. And in real life, I was flying the gliders on competitions, and each of the cloud, no matter if it is just basic cumulus or cumulus congestus or even cumulus nimbus, okay, has the turbulence nearby the clouds. even in the clouds. So um, this is quite annoying, this two situation. If the Asobo team can do something with it and reduce maybe a little bit the ground effect of the lift of the airplane, it should be okay. But I don't know if it is problem with PMDG or Asobo, but I guess it's the problem with Asobo because the same situation is within the Phoenix airplane. So it's my personal opinion. But for those of you who would like to be a professional pilot in future, I think that these simulators uh, are quite okay, and even if the PMDG statement tells us that they are covering near all QRH scenarios, it's not true. Because you don't have the zone temperature, you don't have the Pectribov, and so on and so on. But these simulators are quite okay for you who would like to learn the basics of MCP, of primary flight displays, navigation displays, work with the FMC, to memorize the procedures, SOPs, and memorize the QRH procedures. It's quite okay for you. Okay, and nozzle steering is as well unrealistic, and braking as well. In this case it's better to use the X-plane because the X-plane simulates as well the ice. But there is one tricky situation. You are not allowed on Boeing 737 to land on the ice, and even when the ice is wet, some companies are not allowed to land on the wet ice conditions. Some companies are not allowed to land on the ice condition, but in Nordic countries that are applying a hot sand, so that means that the runway is covered with ice, but the braking actions are good. So this leads to a situation that everything is okay and everything is fine. So let's put a lineup procedure. So left is clear, right is clear, that's okay. Okay, so runway heading 072 is checked. That's quite okay. We can put the engines into the stable condition, and once the engine are stable conditions, we can perform the takeoff. Okay, we have second pilot not engaged. So once again, we put it like this way. Oh, it's not a big deal, big problem. So we wanna rotate. So positive rate gear up. Some pilots are making when there is no busy airport to put the autopilot engage nearly up to flight level 290, which is basically let's say the RVSM airspace, and in RVSM airspace you should have flight director into autopilot coupled, so you are not allowed to enter the RVSM airspace within the okay, we can accelerate the airplane. So we are not allowed to enter the RVSM if we don't have the flight director system, if we don't have the autopilot, and if the differences between pilot flying and pilot monitoring is more than 200 feet. So as we can see, we can go to max 230, and 230 is okay for us. So we put flaps to up position without any further problems. As you can see, the beautiful Krakow city. I love Krakow city very much, very enjoy. And I don't know if in these lakes there are the wreckage in which you can dive, and or these lakes, I don't know. Again, PMDG problem. Airplane cannot keep the altitude, so I will completely disregard this situation until they fix the problem, because it's unacceptable. Okay, we can accelerate via VNAV into flight level 250, and we are below the transition altitude, and the flaps up no light, so leave it like now, and we can go up into flight level. What is our cruising level? 380. 380, we will check here 380 as well, it's okay. We have some master caution, so for the time being disregard it. So altitude 380 is set, press V now again, and now we have the V now speed, and airplane should start accelerating to our cruising level. And what was the master caution? Master caution was, as I can see from this side, nothing. So it was a bug. Just. We can proceed via Babco point, for example. Okay. So transition altitude at standard, and we can read the checklist. So after takeoff checklist, engine bleeds are on, packs are auto, landing gear up and off, flaps up no light, altimeter standard we have set, and cross check, and after takeoff checklist is completed. So it's fine. Okay, so we are passing flight level 100. We can reset our minimums. We can put the lights to on position, to off position. We can release the cabin as we are established smoothly on en route climb speed. And now we are a little bit discussing more about alternate airports. Okay, so as you can see, we have a bunch of the airports we can use. In Europe, it's very simple. How to say it? Let's say always your suitable airport, it's solely depend on your nature of the problem. So that means if I have medical case on board, I will coordinate with ATC the nearest suitable airport which has ambulance on the airport, and in our case, for example, it should be for example, we are overhead Babco at Tatry airport. I wouldn't do so. We have Piešťany, I wouldn't do so. The worst experience I have with Bratislava airport, so I will definitely divert back to Krakow or go to Lima Oscar Whiskey airport. In case of fire on board, we need to be on the ground as soon as possible while performing the checklists, and girls are performing their checklists and their procedures in their way, but this is for another discussion. So if you would like to know how the girls performing with the fire in the cabin, I will show it to you, but if you don't like, I will not do. I will skip this video. But in this case, I will definitely go to Tatry or Košice airport. But Tatry airport are the nearest the airport, so I will use the Tatry airport in case of fire. Another situation, if we are talking, if we disregard, for example, medical case on board, on fire on board, is when the checklist says land at the nearest suitable airport. What does it mean? It mean that, for example, you lose both of your engine-driven generators. That's these two, okay? That should be ceiling plumb over here. And if you lose your all AC power, or let's say you lose all your hydraulic systems, land at the nearest suitable airport. Nearest suitable airport is up to you. It's coordinating with your ATC and you, and as well via ACARS to send a message to your company which will be the best airport for you, the nearest and best airport, in order to have the maintenance over there. So if you have, for example, the airport which is far away from, for example, about 400 nautical miles, it doesn't make sense, because you have Bratislava airport right over here, and in Bratislava airport I'm pretty sure that they have the spare parts in case you lose your engine-driven generators, or another source, for example, or whatever. So I will land in Bratislava airport. I will coordinate with ATC that we have pen code, and we need to have to land at the Bratislava airport. When we have to land at the nearest suitable airport, there are 4 basic rules. The first rule is that we have engine failure, engine fire, airplane is unsafe to fly, so we have some problems with flight controls, and we have only one AC source on board. That means that APU is unavailable, and one generator is off. And if we have only one hydraulic source available, so that means that on loss of hydraulic system A and B, so we have only standby hydraulic system on board. So these are the case. And the second case is whenever checklist says let in the nearest suitable airport. Okay, so and now imagine that we are not ETOPS flight. What does it mean? It means that if we are performing the flight to our destination, and all our tracks must be made within the distance with one engine in operative within 60 nautical miles in still air conditions. So what does it mean, still air conditions? Still air conditions means that there is no wind. But we have to account the wind, and how we can account the wind? We open the QRH and check the air miles and ground miles. Okay, so all the time we need to be within the 6 minutes of one engine in operative. 6 minutes within one engine operative on NG airplane is roughly 3,600 nautical miles. So that means that, for example, I will create the ring from Krakow, and 360 nautical miles ring. Okay, so it means that if you can see, the 360 nautical mile rings means that if we decided to land back on Krakow, we are allowed to do so. But we are nearly top of descent to Dubronik, so I will go direct to Dubronik airport. So this is 3006 nautical miles ring, which we are using in case of our purposes. If you are flying on EDTP flights, extended diversion time procedure, that means that your airplane and company is certified for example 1,120 minutes or 180 minutes, because now engines are recertified to 180 minutes in order to fly from Anchorage to Honolulu, for example. So that means that you are not worried, and you have to establish all the procedures and equal time points along this route. But anyway, we are within the Europe, and you can see the badge of the airports. We can choose whatever we like. For example, we had a medical case on board because one guy was scuba diving, and he didn't realize that after scuba diving he has to wait at least 48 hours prior to step on the airplane, and he will do it directly. And now the nitrogen in his blood was doing this job and he feels sick, so we need to coordinate with the ATC which airport is the best fit for us, and which airport has the nearby city with the facility of decompression with decompression facility for this guy, in order to establish the nitrogen in his blood. So this is another reason. So there are many bunch of the reasons how we can establish the suitable enroute airport, but the basic rule is always fly. If you are not extended range operation, always fly within 60 minutes with one engine in operative, and it is approximately 360 nautical miles away. So this was the case I would like to explain to you, and yeah, basically that's okay. So once again, for recapitulation or reconsider of the situation is always the flight must be conducted within 60 minutes of one engine in operative, is roughly 360 nautical miles from the nearest suitable airport. And this is the flight planning and conducting the flights. And second reason is the nature of the problem. So if we have medical case on board, what is the medical case on board? Do we have the fire on board? Do we need to land as soon as possible? Do we have one AC source on board only available? Do we have only one hydraulic system, which is standby hydraulic system on board? Do we have written on checklist the land and the nearest suitable airport? Do we have engine unsafe to airplane unsafe to fly? Do we have an engine fire or engine failure, and so on and so on and so on. It doesn't mean that if we have engine inoperative and our airport, it's, for example, like you see on the ring, which I depicted right now. So and as you can see, this is the 60 minutes. So within 60 minutes we can easily come back to Krakow. But it's not true, because it depends on the area when there are no airports. For example, another airport, the closest airport, it's 360 nautical miles. So land and the nearest suitable airport within one engine in operative, and checklist says to us to land at the nearest suitable airport. So in this case, I will pick up one of these airports which I know. For example, Budapest is right over here, Bratislava is right over here, Zadar airport is right over here, okay, Wien airport is right over here. So there are a bunch of or let's say many of airports which we can pick up. So it depends on the nature of the problem. One thing I would like to point out, we have in company manuals, most of you are not aware of this fact. We have operation manual, it's called part A. Operation manual part A means that there are established who is captain assigned to A code, captain with B code, co-pilot with A code, captain B code, what is the light training captain, what is the examinator, instructor, light training captain, and so on and so on. Why we have this book? Because this book tells us that if we are flying to Dubronik, for example, which is category C airport, it means that only light training captain should be allowed to fly on this airport. Okay. Imagine that you have the situation right now that you have to divert. We have 1000 level off. And as you can see from the bench of the airports right here, we have as well Linz Airport, and for example we can for example put there Innsbruck Airport, and Innsbruck Airport is as well 360 nautical miles, so we can easily catch the Innsbruck Airport. But why we are not using this airport? Because it's listed as category C airport, and for our purposes, in case of emergency, we cannot consider category C airport as the airport which is suitable for our purpose and our landing. That's why we have operation manual part C, and in operation manual part C we have the airports which are listed as category A, B and C, and now we can see that hey, okay, we have the fire, but the nearest suitable airport is Innsbruck Airport, but we cannot land at the Innsbruck Airport because first of all we don't have the permission from CAA, Austro Control. We don't have the proper training on full flight simulator. We didn't have the field papers. We are not familiar with the airport, with the bulk around procedure, with engine out procedure as well. So we have to pick up another nearest suitable airport, which is for example let's say Linz Airport. Okay, so we will not fly to Innsbruck Airport, we will going to fly to Linz Airport. So this was a discussion about the fuel en route airport alternates. And now we are going to prepare for Dubrovnik Airport. So okay, so we have Dubrovnik, ILS Zulu. We have Nera Point, ILS Zulu 11, Nera, and in order to perform the idle descent, we need to follow Nera to Zulu. Zulu with a pill-up point, that's okay, that's perfect. That's perfectly fine, because all the way down we have no altitude restrictions, or let's say we have, but it's 5000 at or about, so it's okay within our case. So ILS Zulu have frequency 111.4. So 111.4 is set, auto brake set on 2. Decision altitude is 762. Sorry, 726. So basically that's okay. We are going to burn 5 and 7, and that means 1.2 tons of fuel. So basically, roughly 71 will be our landing weight. Use flip 30 with 5. That means our approach speed will be 158. Just to confirmation, and the frequency is 110.1. Okay, and for this approach we need Dubronik NDB 15.4. Okay, so navigation is set, and we have GovDat NDB 397. So 397. That's okay, that's pretty fine. Okay, and in case of misapproach, we can into the fixed page pull to the Dubronik and 182. Okay, radial, and basically that's it, and we are quite prepared. But what we miss is actual weather conditions, and actual weather conditions says us for Dubrovnik, which is it's 209 knots, so we have the crosswind component, clouds and visibility okay, or let's say sailing and visibility okay, QNH 1018. Okay, so 1018 we pre-selected, 1018 we put it into the descent forecast page, and 1018, and we will see how precise will be this calculation. I put flight level 1 to 0 because transition altitude is 10,000 feet. So we are well prepared for the idle descent up to 4 nautical miles, but anyway, there is let's say one tricky situation, and as I said before, it really depends on your flight envelope and documentation charts, and if the wind correction is precise. Because if it is not precise, you hardly do the idle descent. But we'll try to perform somehow idle descent with level change mode, and I will show it to you, because with the level change mode you can play with the speed, because if you are low on profile, you just reduce the speed. If you are high on profile, you just adjust the higher speed in order to catch the glide slope. Okay, so that's the basic idea for the idle descent if you want to use the VNAV procedure. This is really beautiful orthophoto scenery. I really enjoy it and like it. So, we are close enough to top of descent. Press recall. Check the holding fuel available. Approximately overhead NERA point. And we have approximately 40 minutes of holding fuel available. So that's okay. Maybe if you like the next topic, I will perform, for example, I will tell you how to properly set your cruising altitude regarding to tropopause level and wind conditions, because it's not true that if I put flight level 390 right over here, and as you can see, he will calculate it and he will give the penalty right now. So penalty 0 basically. Okay, I will put flight level 400 for example. We will see how he recalculate it. And step point unable, yes, because we have maximum 400. Okay, and we have some nice features here, which I am using in real life. If I have sun shining, so put this tape on, and here are situated the Google masks, so smoke goggles, let's say, and it is in case of fire on board, but it's situated in this green table, which you can switch right over here, and you can put it here in order not to shine you anymore. But I have never flown with this option. I don't know how to use it. Sorry, it's my bad, because we have clips right over here and here, and we put the clips into this rail. As you can see here, there is a rail, and we put the clips on the rail, and we move it within the rail. But this is the new feature which I am not aware of, so it's nice to have to model it. I really like it. Okay, so let's say they are directed via Barep, Silva, and we are clear to Nera point. Okay, so we put the Nera point right over here. And what I would like to point out that we figure out from real operations that if you have, for example, runway 11, you are not able to catch the localizer, even the glide slope, within 24 nautical miles. The 24 nautical miles is the range when you catch the localizer. So if you see on your flight simulator and then you catch the localizer within 30 nautical miles or 40 nautical miles, it's not true. It's basically not good modeled, because in real life you catch the localizer within 24 nautical miles. And as you can see, the situation is not good for us because we have a strong crosswind component. It's not depicted right over here. It's depicted, yes it is, but it's depicted right over here. Tailwind 1 knot, 0 knots, and crosswind 36 knots. This is the nice feature which Airbus doesn't have. You don't have the calculator on short final because the pilots are dividing to pilots, co-pilot B, co-pilot A, and Captain A and Captain B, and you shouldn't mix on these pilots. For example, the co-pilot B shouldn't fly with the Captain B. He should be rostered with a copilot A. And the same situation is when there is Captain B, for example, with less experience, he shouldn't be mixed with copilot B because he has as well less experience. He should be mixed with copilot A. So that's the procedure. And the wind limitations, for example, for crosswind or tailwind or headwind component, are split into the pilot flying, which is flying the airplane. For example, if the if the airplane is flying with copilot B, he has strictly limited the crosswind component up to 20 knots. So that means that if it is 25 knots, the copilot B should, via progress page number 2, tells to captain that hey, I am not allowed to do so, we need to transfer the controls. Okay, and now the copilot B, the captain B will be pilot flying, and copilot A will be pilot monitoring. So there are some basic rules which are coming from real life. Anyway, we can make descent checklist. So a recall is checked, auto brake is set on 2, landing data we have flaps 30, and reference speed is 143, approach speed is 143 plus 5 is 148, and minimums are 7 to 7, which we have. Approach briefing is completed, so descent checklist complete. This is why we are reading checklist, because I have wrong setting of approach speed. Okay. And as you can watch my previous video, this feature is really important and very nice to use, so do not hesitate to use the feature in order not to be high on profile. So we are slightly approaching to the top of descent point, and we are shortly starting our descent. So this idle descent procedure applies in 2 cases, and one case is air traffic allows you to make a direct approach, and another there are no standard instrument arrival restrictions with the waypoint. But you may do the idle descent with speed restriction, or let's say altitude restriction point, but Maybe I will do the separate video for this situation. Okay, 10 miles prior to the top of descent, the FMC light should illuminate it that, hey man, you are close to the top of descent, and try to do something with it. And we can make it with easy way. 296. It's not good number. We can put 300. Okay, it seems to be the option 5 nautical miles, not 10 nautical miles. So we'll see. Okay, now it's reset MCP altitude. So now we can go down to, for example, flight level 200. We can put a level change and so now we are descending. So as you can see, we are going right far away from the glide path. So we are playing with the speeds. So we can put, for example, flight level Mach 0.75. Okay. So in this case, we reduce the speed. As we are reducing speed, I don't know why he is skipping 46.4, but anyway, okay. Because we have in R mode position, not FMC position, so it should keep the idle, and the idle, well, I'm get used for 737-700, and idle it's with quite lower, but anyway, as you can see, we are approaching to our calculated flight path, and we have speed of 79er. Okay, so we can easily put 79er right now, and we are adjusting our speed into our liking. So maybe 79 was quite enough, but anyway, it's okay. So with a level change and LNAV mode, you can play this with the speed. If you are low on profile, you reduce the speed in order to catch with the idle descent, the VNav calculating path. If you are quite above, you have to increase your speed, or let's say retract the speed brakes if you are really high on the profile. But this is the reason, because if you leave the airplane on the VNav, what does it says? It's another option from option. Okay, so R mode, if it is for example far away from your VNav, it can revert to FNC speed and adjust the speed for you. Now I can adjust speed according to my liking. For example, I feel that I'm quite for example low on profile. I can press the thrust levers because it's arm position, and catch the glide slope, but this is not our purpose, so I'll put the so we can put 7.3 for example in order to catch the glide. As you can see, there is 42.5% of N2, so it's basically no change. And in order to have the proper idle descent, you have to let's say calculate with non-standard flap setting, because the standard flap setting is flaps 5, flaps 1, flaps 5, flaps 15, and final flaps configuration. But now we are playing with flaps 2, flaps 10. We will see how it looks like, because the EASA ops procedures and the Boeing procedures can give you availability to use non-standard flap settings according to your liking. So we are at changeover altitude. So we need to adjust the speed a little bit. So for example 290, okay, into the catch the glide slope. Because the pilots are divided on 737 on vertical speed pilots, level changes, and VNav pilots, okay? And I don't like to behave vertical speed pilot. I don't like to behave the VNav pilot. I don't like to behave the level change. I do all my best in order to keep the safe descent and safe approach, whatever the mode I will use for. So as you can see, our descent forecast page, which I filled from the sim brief, was not precise, because I will use speed 290 and the speed was 297, I guess, computed by the cost index, so it wasn't precise. That's why I'm playing with the speed, okay? Okay, we will have a little bit much fuel on center tanks. We can the suction fit fuel pump is not working anymore, so in this case we need to use the center tank fuel pumps, and we'll see if it sucks 160 kilograms, which we have additional on board. So now we can increase the speed because we are on the profile. Maybe a little bit speed up. Always, if you are on FMA arm, that means that it should be idle thrust. Okay. Okay, we put the cabin crew on. Okay, we have another point 5000 at or above. We can easily put the 5000 feet. For example, like now, 5000 or above. Okay, I will check the last PNH because it's crucial for our 1018. It's still valid, so it's okay. Remember, this is the flight simulator, and the flight simulator should have the discrepancy between real world weather and real airplane, so basically that's it. So anyway, we have master conscious fuel, so Scavy jet pump in airplane doesn't modeled. So we can go a little bit more down, as you can see, because we are 200 feet below the profile, so I will use the speed brakes in order to lose the altitude. And we can put the lights on standard, okay? Can adjust the temperature to prepare the passengers. So we're approaching Nera Point, and Nera Point we have 5000 feet, and We should have vertical speed of 4000 and something, vertical bearing 7. I guess this is not true, because the Nera is 5000 feet exactly, and it doesn't contain 5000 at or above. Okay. Okay, so we can put it like this one, and as you can see we have deceleration point little bit not precise, but okay, it's 5 nautical miles prior to our calculation in this case, so I will delete this point, and what I can do is point 24, which is the point in which we capture the localizer. As you can see, we are still on the idle, so it's okay. Okay, so we'll use the little bit of speed brakes. Can adjust the heading back, and we are approaching 5000 feet, so we are decelerating. I don't know what is the clean speed configuration, but it should be 207. So 24 miles we have, so we can put the localizer, and we should have localizer arm as I said before, and approach mode heading is 114, and missed approach will be 4000. Okay. We are just on the level flight, but we are losing the speed, so that's pretty okay, that's pretty fine, but I guess we can make it a little bit from higher above, because this is the situation which I don't like. Anyway, how matter the VNAV path shows us that we are 300 feet at or above the profile, but anyway we can go to 4000 feet, so we can put the 4000 feet like this one, level change. Okay, and now we can go down. We can put the approach mode is set, miss approach altitude is set, that's quite okay. And now we can put the flaps 1 and reduce the speed into this condition, okay? This shouldn't happen. Okay? And as you can see, with the flaps 1 and glide slope captured, the airplane is keeping altitude 210 knots. That's fine, that's basically okay. If air traffic controller doesn't have specific requirements for us, but anyway, we can put into the flaps 2 non-standard. Always put flaps and then back. The airplane will still not decelerate, so we can put flaps 5. Now we can see what the airplane will do. Now the airplane will decelerating, and as we can on the approach chart, we have 3 degrees of angle, so it should work okay for us. Up to 4 nautical miles we should have idle descent right now. So approaching 4 nautical miles, we can put non-standard flaps 10 and we will see how the airplane will decelerate, okay? And now you can see the airplane will decelerate very slowly. So we are approaching 4 nautical miles, and this is the case that idle descent will stop, okay? Because we have to configure the airplane for final configuration. That means gear down, flaps 15, like this one, start switches. We have and we have final approach speed. As I have oversaturated display, I cannot see the puppy as well, so I don't know how to solve the situation, but yeah, I have to accommodate it. So autopilot disengaged, deselect the speed, we have speed in arm position, and now we are good to land. So the idle descent should be from the top of descent point until 4 nautical miles. In 4 nautical miles in VMC conditions, but not EMC, VMC conditions, you should be stabilized.
500. Approaching minimums. Glide slope. Glide slope. Minimums.
Okay, we have glide slope. I don't see the puppy.
Terrain. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, now the airplane keeps the deceleration. In the auto brake, I put the brakes to off position. This is the situation I would like to avoid anyway. So non-standard APU to on position, stop the block time, and put the lights into this condition. That's it. Maybe a little bit adjusting the trim into 5 position. Okay, we can turn to the apron. This APU is available, APU on bus. Check if it is good quality, it's okay. So now we have discussed the fuel alternator ports and the idle descent basically into the split airport. So I hope you like this video, and you learn something new. Next time, if you would like, for example, the topics how we establish the fuel, for example, taxi fuel, contingency fuel, reduce contingency fuel via ASALPs, and final reserve alternate fuel, just let me know and I will make the video for. Oh, I'm not on the right stand. Okay, it's my fault. But anyway, I will stop it like it right now, so it doesn't matter. As we use the on the thrust setting, and if you watch the meter condition for Dubronik, we have 26 degrees of centigrade, so we have to wait a little bit more to cool down the engines. So APU is available, APU is on bus, so we can perform the shutdown procedure and shutdown checklist. So in this case, off position, we have have to stop the block time, release specs, anti-collision lights off. This should be off. Okay, so we are okay, and we can put on chokes. Can remove the chokes. Check the brakes 3.8 because I was starting to turn sooner. Anyway, and that's it, and I hope you like this video with this beautiful travel service. It's my fault that I turn on this stand, but was my decision. But if we have air traffic controller, I will be right on these stands. But this is a general parking stance, so please disregard it. Okay, so have a nice day and see you next time soon.